Hi, Miss Ariola.
Hi, Mr. David. How are you?
Doing well, thanks. Can I ask you a few questions?
Sure, go ahead. Take a seat.
All right. First question I have is the strongest assets in this community or the school, or both?
I think it's the sense of community that the families around the community have. They definitely have this generational connection. They gravitate back to the community. They may leave, and eventually they do come back. And they do, like when there's crisis, when there's difficult situations in the community, they do come together. And I mean, we have a high number of families that are African Americans and a high number of families that are Latinos, and that kind of the whole race thing dissipates, and they do come together, definitely.
Well, that's great, thanks. What would you say is lacking as far as assets go?
Sometimes we do have families, distrust the system. While we're trying to help, as a school, we definitely do have them coming back and having a sense of us trying to work against them instead of working with them and trying to help their students. So it does take some time for us to build that trust with different families.
Okay. All right, I have another question for you. How are students or families educated regarding the resources in this community?
We definitely are a good source of information for our families, especially as we start developing different intervention plans and working as a group. And we have an attendance counselor, and administrators, instructional coaches.
So, Ms. Ariola, you did say that there's some distrust as far as families distrusting the system. What are some ways that you think that we can develop more trust in that system?
I think definitely being here for longer than a year, when service providers or teachers, administrators, when there's the constant change, that definitely doesn't help. But if we are here for longer periods of time, if we can work with them, slowly holding their hand and taking them step by step and providing different levels of interventions and support, they eventually do come around. I mean, I've had families that from not wanting to work with us at all and just slowly giving them the power to work with us and developing that and being here 5 years. A lot of us have been here for quite some time now. So I think the families getting to know us, getting to know the school, the service providers, and seeing us work with them slowly, step by step, and getting them the help that they need. And that has definitely helped a lot.
Okay, great. I have one last question to ask you. You have some time for that?
Sure, go ahead.
So, how often do you witness community gathering in this community, and where and when does that usually happen?
So I have heard, definitely, I have been witnesses as I'm not here during the weekends, but definitely families, students mentioning how they know each other at church. So there's definitely gatherings at different church around the area. So I know of that, although I don't witness it myself. And then in the afternoons, I do see around different parks around the area.
Hi, Ms. Killens.
Hello.
This is our AP EIS at 52nd Street Elementary School. Can you answer a couple questions for me?
Sure.
Thank you. So, first is what are the top three needs in this community, would you say?
I think one of the needs is parenting support. Um, we're in a time where it seems like students are running their parents and there's no accountability for their actions. Um, Parents aren't really sure how to uh, discipline kids or give them consequences. So I think parenting classes and training is probably at the top of the list. Um, Another need at the school would be organizations that can provide support for counseling and therapy. I don't know if those are the same, but whether it's family counseling therapy, individual counseling therapy. Um, I feel like we seem to think kids or adults just all of a sudden have mental health issues. And where that in some cases is true, there are a lot of children who are in situations that cause them to have mental health issues and concerns. And we deal with it a lot at school and not always equipped to help them like they need. So I think that's another resource that is a great need. And another one, we have, I would say, a fairly high transiency rate. Students who are homeless and moving in and out of the community because of it's very expensive to live in Los Angeles. And so as a result, they might need access to tokens for transportation or um, places where they can get food or clothing. And so I would say just those daily living type things, a place to stay, would be the other resource that is needed.
All right, now that we identified the top three needs in the community, would you be able to tell me some resources in the community or the school that can really be beneficial to families and students?
So I think the number one resource at our school is our PSA counselor, because she has access to a lot of the organizations that provide support for students and their families with various needs, whether it's clothing, food, mental health support. She's I think the best resource here.
Hey, Luis.
Hey.
Do you think that you can tell me a little bit about why this park is important?
Well, this park became a staple to the community. It was a lot smaller, not even less than 2 years ago. And now with the expansion and the remodel, it's become a real popular place where both kids and parents and just could come and get together. There's workout equipment for the adults. There's playground equipment for the kids. These tables are usually filled when it comes to the after school time. And just living across the street from here really showed me how consistently this park was populated.
Thanks, Luis.
The first question, how the pastor's reaching out.
Right.
So yeah, can you tell us about how the pastor is reaching out to this community?
This is one of the ways we're reaching. See right here, this is one of the ways we're reaching out to the community. We had this July 17th and August 25th. We had this Remix Youth Academy program, and this is some of the things that you're recording what I'm saying. This is some of the things that we introduced to the people. The young man that she's trying to contact, Jason. These are he put a program together on tape and showed it to everybody after we finished. After they finished the session, we do Vacation Bible School. And here you see some of the work that they did. The students finished, they did this painting. This was one of what they did this was a 3-week program this summer.
It's really nice.
They finished these two paintings. Remix is what we call it, the Remix Academy.
That's great.
Another thing we do, we feed the hungry every Tuesday, and from 10 to 1 o'clock.
Every Sunday?
Every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday.
We have a Dynamite Angelic Youth Choir that just gave a concert this past Sunday. They did some dynamite things in presentations. It was Grandparents' Day, and they were blessed that Sunday, and grandparents were introduced to the congregation. We have, what else have we done? For the community, as you have heard, during Christmas, we work with the community in having a toy drive, where they had we used the parking lot, and they had toys and clothing and things for the kids. And then on the first day of school, when school first started, we have encountered the neighborhood to, if they want to contribute shoes or supplies like book bags and things of that nature.
Cool.
And see, what else have we done? We have across the street, there's a nursery school that they have their graduation, and they have an Easter program and Christmas program over here in our basement. And our pastor is relatively a new minister here in the neighborhood, and he is trying to embrace the neighborhood, the community.
Yeah, it seems like it.
And trying to reach out to the community
Develop,
and
like,
make
relations
a
with people.
relationship between church and community. This being as old as it is a church, one of the things that we have, our regular members are dying out. So, and people don't, the youth don't come into church like they used to do when we were younger.
Yeah.
And that is one of the things that we're trying to find out what we can do to bring more youth
Reach
into
out.
the church, reach
Yeah.
out to bring more youth in the church.
Makes sense.
And there's some things that we're trying to implement that they're relatively new that the pastor wants to do in the future. He wants to really understand what the congregation wants in relationship to what the community wants, and to mesh together. And like it used to be, things are different these days than they were when I was your age. It wasn't a matter of what do you want to do, it's what you have to do until you get to the point where you can walk out and do your own.